Joining us right now from CBS Sports, he's lovely, he's talented, he's David Richard. Good morning, buddy.
It's time for fantasy football. Yeah, I love it. I got my own theme song on the show and everything. Dave, how are you? Dave, I'm sorry about last week. I didn't let you know that I wasn't going to make it, and I didn't know I wasn't going to make it until it actually happened. I usually are cool about this kind of stuff, but it's still a jerk move that I made, and I'm sorry. And if I were there, I would hug you, and then maybe caress the back of your head a little bit, you know.
All right, we're talking.
And then, you know, the hug is still going on.
Yeah.
All right, now it's done.
But is it okay, right before it got uncomfortable?
Yeah. Or just slightly.
Yes.
Is there eye contact after the hug? Or do we just kind of both look away?
I think we look away.
Okay. Yeah, okay. You know what? You can flake on us anytime you want, Dave. That's how much we love you. We could never say an unkind word about you. Life happens. Things get in the way. Let me ask you this before we get to fantasy football. We were having this discussion, of course, our last conversation before Halloween. Do you have a favorite and a most hated Halloween candy?
My most hated Halloween candy that I've ever gotten, or just in general? In general, you know, I'm not a big fan of Milk Duds or Laffy Taffy.
Hey,
okay.
That's one of my first picked was Milk Duds. I agree with you.
Yeah, they're terrible. Big fan of Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Wow,
big fan of 100 Grand bars.
Oh.
Big fan. Oh, I always love going to the house that gives away bone-in ribeye steaks. I'm happy to go there and get those in my bag.
It's a big tomahawk.
So many times that happens. That's amazing.
We both said Milk Duds, and we both said the peanut butter cups.
Yeah, I think you guys need to hug longer.
I think we kind of merged DNA. All right, this is a kid show.
Yes.
Hey, you know, there's different things going on around the National Football League. I guess we can start with this. As we get through the year, Dave, as you know better than anyone, there are certain values that emerge, whether it's a running back in Seattle, whether it's a temporary running back situation in Indianapolis. What are you keeping your eye on right now?
I need to see some better quarterback play across the league. One of the biggest problems that we've got right now is that there aren't enough great quarterbacks to go around in fantasy. And goodness, Dave, for the last 6 years, it's been you can wait on a quarterback on draft day because there's always going to be somebody who can get you around 20 fantasy points per game. But I think that's going by the wayside a little bit because there just aren't enough quarterbacks that you look at and you go, slam dunk, must start, no doubt about it. We were getting questions yesterday before the Thursday night game, not just about Brady, but about Lamar Jackson too, and whether or not he was a safe start. Literally people asking us, Lamar Jackson, Derek Carr, who do you like? Tom Brady or Kirk Cousins, who do you like? And so people are a little jittery right now with the quarterback position, and I don't blame them for it. There's been a lot of up and down, a lot of uncertainty, and frankly, there's been a lot of running. And I think that's been the league-wide trend this year is that defenses, it's almost like all the defensive coordinators got together and they said, all right, we're going to play more zone coverage this year to force teams to run. And the teams that don't have a good running back, they're panicking. That's honestly, Tampa Bay is one of those teams. I know they have Leonard Fournette. He's not getting the job done. But other teams like Seattle, for example, they've got Kenneth Walker. They had Penny before him. They're doing a great job running the football, and they're happy to keep doing it. The Giants are winning because of Saquon Barkley running the football. And teams like the Bengals, well, the Bengals before they lost Jamar Chase, and the Chiefs, they've been able to beat that type of zone coverage with their pass catchers more so than their running backs. But I bet they'll eventually start to lean on their run game a little bit more as the season gets older. So I think that's really been the most problematic position, and fantasy managers need to do a really good job of making sure they're starting the quarterback they're most comfortable with from week to week. But the guys that drafted Mahomes and Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, I think Lamar Jackson belongs on that list too. I think you're feeling pretty good. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, kind of sticking with that, Dave, on that quarterback position. In the game and certainly in fantasy, they've been as reliable as anybody for years, and that's been Russell Wilson, and that's been Tom Brady, as you brought up, Aaron Rodgers, reigning two-time MVP here the last couple of years. So yeah. What should you do with those guys going forward? Because career says no worries, but now we're into week 8, and it's a worry. What do you do if you have any of those guys?
The problem with thinking about their whole careers is that you don't get any of the fantasy points that they scored before this season or before this week. So you can't rely on that and say, well, Russell Wilson's been great in the past. He looks terrible now. He looks jittery in the pocket. He misses open receivers. He doesn't even throw to them, holds the ball too long. He gets sacked a lot. I don't think he trusts his offensive line. And now you can tack on this leg injury that he's got. That might keep him from running the ball very much. So I think if you've got Russell Wilson, I think you got to start somebody else. I don't think you can look at him and say, okay, surefire slam dunk fantasy quarterback. I like Geno Smith better than Russell Wilson, and it's been that way for the past couple of weeks. Tom Brady's a little bit of a different story because he's throwing the ball so much. But last night he looked terrible. He should have been picked off at least 3 times against the Ravens. Missed a bunch of open receivers. I don't know if the arm velocity is still as good as it once was. He also missed open receivers in the end zone. Just didn't see them. Didn't fire the ball at them. Held the ball too long. He doesn't seem comfortable with his offensive line. I think Rodgers is a little bit different. He's missed some throws too, but I think that he's still got that gunslinger mentality and maybe a little bit more fearless than Russell Wilson and Tom Brady. His problem is that his receiving core is absolutely terrible. He can't trust Romeo Doubs anymore. Allen Lazard was his guy. He's hurt. He's going to miss this week. And so what's he got left to throw to? It's Sammy Watkins. It's Robert Tonyan at tight end. He's going to get Christian Watson back. That's been his rookie wide receiver. If there was ever a receiver to stash, that's it, guys. He's available in over 80% of CBS Sports leagues. Expected to come back, tall, fast, has potential. He's just got to hold on to the football. But that's been a problem for pretty much everybody that Aaron Rodgers has been throwing to. So not that you can start Rodgers this week against Buffalo, but he's the one that I think has maybe the best chance to rebound from the quarterbacks that we're talking about.
That's Dave Richard of CBS Sports. This is a rough week for a lot of folks, and I put myself in there, that have been very much enjoying, for the most part, the Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce combo. Now, we've talked about this philosophy before, Dave. I tend to, if I can, if it's between two folks and I see that I have bye weeks stacking up, I generally will try to get all my bye weeks in the same week if I can, or at least a lot of them. But not everybody does that. So for those scrambling, you already mentioned Geno Smith, but I imagine he's been picked up a bit.
Yeah, he's going to be rostered in a bunch of leagues.
Yeah. So where do you, if you're having issues with Mahomes and Kelce being out, anyone jump out to you?
The first tight end that I would tell you to go look up is Irv Smith, because he's got a great matchup and should be able to score for the Vikings. You're starting him because of the matchup. It's not so much anything that he does, although he does have 4 catches in each of his past 2 games. But he's someone that I like. And David Njoku is not expected to suit up for the Browns, and Harrison Bryant is their next tight end up. You're starting another stat with him, although he is a big dude, great catch radius, kind of a country strong type of kid. But Jacoby Brissett throws to his tight ends at the 3rd highest rate of anybody in football. And Mahomes is up there, and Lamar Jackson's up there, because look who their tight ends are. So I think that's more of a philosophical thing, more so than David Njoku's the 3rd best tight end in football. And of course he's going to get targets. I don't think it's like that at all. So I kind of like Harrison Bryant, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Hayden Hurst. Hurst is going to see more targets in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase on the shelf for the next 4 games. And I think that he's got a shot to be more than just your typical touchdown or bust type of tight end. I think he could see as many as 6 or 7 targets in a game, catch 4 or 5 passes, be good for 50 yards, and then still be able to come through for a touchdown maybe every other week while Jamar Chase is out.
Dave Richard with us. All guests come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Dave, if we look at an important game in the NFC West, it's the Niners and the Rams, but on the fantasy implications, who are the best plays fantasy-wise from that game?
You might have heard about a trade the Niners made where they got Christian McCaffrey. I
Playbook's open.
I think you got to go with him. I think if Deebo Samuel is out, and maybe even if Deebo Samuel plays, Brandon Ayuk has been getting targets the last couple of weeks. Some of it has to do with the fact that the Niners have been playing from behind. I don't think they're going to necessarily play from behind in this game, but I think they're going to have a hard time traditionally running the football against the Rams. So Garoppolo is going to have to put it in the air a little bit more. Those little short slants that you see Brandon Ayuk make, he could always take one of the house. The Rams' pass defense has been a disappointment this year. Kittle is a must play. And I think if Deebo plays, you maybe lower expectations a little bit, but I think you've got to get him in your lineup. For the Rams, there's 2 guys. It's Cooper Kupp. Everybody knows to start him. And Tyler Higbee, who's got a pretty good track record against the 49ers. That's a guy that I bet the Niners defense would be happy to see get 10 targets in the game. He got more than that earlier in the season. It was week 4. He had a ton of targets, had 10 catches for 70 yards. he could end up having a game like that. And he scored 3 touchdowns in his prior 2 games against the 49ers. So you know that he's got that type of potential as well.
Last thing for you, since we already hugged, let us know where we can see you and hear you.
I'm happy to give a virtual hug to everybody who watches me on Fantasy Football Today, live 9 a.m. Cali time on CBSSportsHQ.com. That's the 24/7 streaming home of CBS Sports. News, highlights, smart analysis. You won't be a dumb fan if you turn on CBS Sports HQ. And how do you turn it on? Any device that's got Wi-Fi and a screen, it's free. You just go to CBSSportsHQ.com. Boom, you're watching it, or you download the free CBS Sports app.
I got to go. Please be honest. One word answer if you can. I'm 1 game behind Phil in my league. He's in first place. You been emailing you, dude?
No.
Okay. You wouldn't lie to me, right?
No.
Okay. I will be watching you, as I know Phil Oates and many others will as well, because you are very smart, and we love you very much. Thank you, and we will see you next Friday.
Jason, Dave, Phil, good talking to you.
That's Dave Richard of CBS Sports.